My guest today is an award-winning designer who's designed for everybody, including House of Dereon, RocaWear, Nicki Minaj, Rachel Roy, and she has her own label, Farai. And most recently, she's decided to merge her love for Africa, which is where she's from, with her love for New York, with a new store that's just launched recently in Brooklyn. And that's exactly where we are today, in her store in Brooklyn. Hi, Farai. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's such a joy to be here, to be in the store and see all these amazing products that you have.
Thank you.
Tell me about the idea. Where did the idea come from?
So the idea to start the store was, I've been a designer for so long, and I've always come across people that said no to me for my work and for my designs. And I've always been like, but my work is amazing. I don't understand why you don't see what I see. And for us, we decided to create the store because it's about saying yes to brands, but not only just saying yes, but it's about cultivating brands and giving them the support that they need to thrive in this industry.
And what are some of the brands that you carry, and how do you decide which brands you bring in?
So we work with local brands and mostly global brands. And right now our focus is working on Southern African brands. So I had the opportunity to travel back home and travel to South Africa and brought brands like Maria McCloy, who does shoes. She's based in Johannesburg. We have Meraki NYC, which is a brand that's based here, and she works with leather goods. We have a new brand, he's an artisan called Rems Lopes, that does beautiful handcrafted leather bags. So it's really all across the board, but it's really just about cultivating the design and working with the designers.
Why is that important to you, to give these brands a platform?
I think it's important because the market of design, especially in the US, is so saturated, and everybody is concerned with making money and just creating things that other people are creating. So for me, it's important to always keep artistry fresh, keep it alive, and to find those amazing people that are doing beautiful work and not getting an opportunity to showcase it. And you know, the problem with artistry is that a lot of big brands will come and copy smaller brands, and then they never get a voice and they never see the light of day. So for us, it's making sure we give a platform to those smaller brands at the start, and so we're able to build them up.
So let's go to the very beginning. Yeah. Did you always know that you wanted to be a designer? When did you find out that you had a love for design?
So I have always been a creative person, but I didn't know that there was a career in it. You know, I grew up in Zimbabwe, and my aunt actually went to the London School of Fashion. And she graduated from there and actually started her own intimates line in Zimbabwe. And it was a thriving business. And so just from being around my mom and her sisters, they supported her in her business. So I remember my aunt would always bring home like bags of fabric, and she would always give them to us kids. So we would play with the fabrics, sew things up, make little skirts for ourselves and make little dolls. And I learned how to sew, I learned how to knit, and that's just always been a passion of mine. But it really wasn't until I moved to the US and then started university that I found out that there was a career in fashion, in the creative industry, and that's sort of when my wheel started spinning.
So when you went to university, did you right away go to design school, or what did you study at university?
So I went to school at West Virginia University, and I've always been fascinated with the mind, so I actually started as a psychology major. Yeah, so my first year I was a psych major. I'm really interested in the way that our minds work and how we interact with each other. And then it wasn't until my sophomore year, I literally woke up out of bed. I think it was like the first day of my sophomore year. And I'm like, I don't know, there's just something going on in my mind. So I went to my advisor's office and I'm like, I don't know, this sounds crazy, but I know I'm in psychology, but I really want to switch to fashion. And she immediately transferred me over to the design department, met with my advisors there, and then I just started, you know, into the fashion design department. And I don't even think I told my parents yet at that point. I just sort of just did it on my own, and then I was just like hoping that whenever I get home to tell them that they're okay with it, but that's just sort of how it started.
And what did they say when you got home to tell them?
So being a child of African parents, as you know, when you are in a profession of saying I'm in psychology and I'm in the sciences, and then you come home and you tell them, yeah, I want to be an artist, Mom, and I want to make things look pretty, Dad. They were a little confused, but I think their confusion was more of concern. because, as our parents, they just want the best for us. They want us to be able to support ourselves. So there was a little bit of concern, but I was fortunate that I did have a scholarship to go to school. So it's not like they could really say anything about my studies. So I just continued on, and I think they just started seeing, like, when you see the light, like, in someone, I think they saw the light in me, and they knew I was happy. So they found a way to start, supporting and being supportive of my dream.
And how did you go? So I mentioned in the introduction that you've designed for some big names, for Beyonce, for Nicki Minaj. How did you go from being a student in design to being a designer working with these big brands?
So after West Virginia University, I moved to New York City. And of course, like anyone that's starting out, you're grinding, you're hustling. I'm interning, I'm working in retail stores, folding clothes, but the passion was always be to design and to be in the industry. So I think I sent my resume out to like a headhunter. And I don't know if it's just the law of attraction that really just came in my favor. The recruiter saw my resume, and usually when you meet a recruiter, they meet you face to face. And she was like, I don't know, there's just something about you. I'm just gonna send your resume to this company. I just want you to go over there and meet with the creative director. I don't know what's gonna happen, but just go. So I literally had no idea where I was going, who I was meeting with. And I show up at this company, meet with the creative director, and I found out that I was interviewing for House of Dereon. And I was just like, God, thank you. I don't know how you did this, but I really believe in law of attraction and just emitting positive energy and just sort of putting yourself where you see yourself. And I just really think that's how it happened. And from then on, the creative director became a big supporter of me. She brought me on the team, and I started out there as an assistant denim designer for Dereon, which is Beyonce's line.
And then, so you designed for House of Dereon, Nicki Minaj, Rachel Roy. Well, how did you make the switch, and what made you decide that you wanted to have your own label and to design your own stuff?
I've always wanted to do my own thing. But for me, I think what it was is working in the industry first and realizing that I was part of the team that helped build Dereon to be a multi-million-dollar company. I think that's what gave me the confidence to be like, your work and your designs are already being worn by the masses. You might as well find a way to cultivate your own design growth and, start doing something for yourself.
And so as a designer in your own right, what are some of the challenges that you've had to face?
Some of the challenges that I've had to face as a newer brand and designer is, number one, people not believing in you because you're beginning and you're starting. And also, like we spoke about earlier, is larger brands stealing your designs and then making money off of them. And then also capital, being able to finance your own brand. And what you'll notice is that a lot of us designers will work a 9-to-5, and then designing for ourselves is that side hustle. So it's really, finding the time to do that. But I would say those are the top three things in terms of like the difficulties that I've had in terms of like starting my own line.
And how did you go about raising money to do your first? Was it a first collection that you did?
Yeah. So my first major collection I showed at New York Fashion Week, which was a great opportunity. I definitely think I got a little swindled because when you start off, you're just like, people sell you a lot of dreams. So I financed my own line when I started, and I was still working in the industry, still designing, still working at Dereon actually at the time. And I remember I hired a company to help me create all of my samples because you want them to be perfect. And the company, I just gave them all my money, and the day before the show, they disappeared. So I had an entire collection not done, and this is my debut for New York Fashion Week, and I have people coming from all over to support this young Zimbabwean girl. And I literally had to hire somebody else last minute, this lovely lady based here in Brooklyn, and she helped me recreate my entire line the day before the show. So it's really about people selling you dreams because you're so passionate and you're so excited about that. So that was definitely the start of my fashion career, is just, figuring out like who can you trust and who can support you, who can you work with. And yeah, that was very interesting.
What advice would you give to somebody who, a young girl, a young boy who's looking at, watching this interview and thinking, how do I get in the industry? Where do they start?
I would say ask questions and find a mentor. Because for me, I think when I first started out, it was a slew of a lot of different African designers sort of coming up at the same time. So we were all just sort of like watching each other, learning from each other, but we didn't really have that person to look to give us guidance or give us mentorship, and we were figuring it out, ourselves. But I think now that there are platforms out there for African designers, ask questions, and don't be afraid to do that, and don't be afraid to research and learn about the business, because fashion is creative, but it is a business. So we have to also learn how to treat it as such.
And so where do you start? So when you're designing a collection, where do you start? Where does the inspiration come from?
I think this inspiration when you start your collection has to come from within, it has to come from yourself. And I think right now, kind of like what we're doing is we all should be in the storytelling business. I think people are really interested in hearing about you as the designer and you as the brand and what your background is from. So I think it starts with inspiration. And once you've had a grasp on the inspiration, then it becomes designing the collection, drawing it out, sketching it out, finding your fabrics, sourcing your fabrics. So it really, I think it's all about you. And as an audience, because I am a designer, but I'm also an audience as well, you can tell when someone is not being genuine and they're not really showcasing who they are. And, you can get lost in that. So I think it's really important to start with yourself in terms of finding the inspiration.
And in terms of, so I know you've got this store that we're in, but you also have another company called The Narrative. What is The Narrative, and how does that fit into the bigger picture?
So The Narrative is a support system for the brands that are showcased in this store. So what The Narrative does is we seek out designers and artisans from all over the world, and we help them successfully get into larger markets. So right now we're focusing on Southern African designers and bringing them into the US market, because a lot of them have such unique, creative things that, for me, I could see them at a Barney's or at a Bloomingdale's, but they just don't have the foresight or the capital to get them to where they need to go. So literally the narrative comes in, and we basically invest in these small brands. We help them with branding, marketing, photography, sales, and the sales act part comes when we bring them into the store. So once they come into the US market, their first stop is here. And from this store, then we showcase them out to different buyers, different stores all throughout the city. And then we just continue to build them and guide them from there. Because for me, I think it's important to not say no to creativity, but to build upon creativity and help these designers.
One of the things that we face as Africans is stereotypes. There's so many stereotypes associated with who we are, what we should be doing. What are some of the stereotypes that you see in introducing African brands to North America, to Europe?
Wow, there's so many. And that's why we started The Narrative, because it's about those misconceptions. And the narrative is we want to tell the actual story of African brands and African designers. Number one is, if I say I'm working with African designers, automatically they think African prints. But if you look at the history of African prints, they didn't originate from Africa at all. It's just that we were a culture that, took on the prints. And we love color. I mean, they're beautiful, but that's not what, African fashion, African design is. It's so much more than that. And then, of course, misconceptions are just things we hear all the time: poverty, sickness. And it's just like there's so much more that's going on. But for us to be able to tackle things like poverty and illness and things like that, let's cultivate and build an industry of these designers, because these artisans are the ones that live amongst that, but then they can help their own communities. So it's really a revolving give back is how we're working and how we see it. And it's not just supporting the brands, it's also that it's business development. And so they're able to then, the designers that we work with, they're able to then hire people in their community, and then it's just a give back. So it's so much more than just on the surface. There's a lot of work that we're doing, beneath the belly, so.
Now, one of my very favorite things, which I know you know this, one of my very favorite things of yours that you make is this T-shirt that I'm wearing today,
yes,
which says, "I am because you are."
Right.
Why did you make the T-shirt? What does it mean? And how does it fit into this story that you're telling with The Narrative and with the concept store?
Yeah, so "I am because you are" has been a quote that I've carried with myself for many, many years. And the whole idea of it is it derives from the Southern African word Ubuntu. And I am because you are just means togetherness, community, building, support. And I am where I am today because of my community, because of people like you, because of my parents, because of friends, because of, and you know, in Africa, it's like you don't just raise one child, you raise the entire village. So there's so many people that have, you know, been, that I've basically stood on their backs. So for me, I am because you are is sort of like a tribute to them. And then it's also something that, you know, you're a lover of those shirts and you've bought that shirt and then you've given it to somebody else. So it just continues. You know, I am because you are, you know, because of you, I am. Yeah.
And why? I mean, because it'd be so easy for you, Farai, sitting here, you live in North America, for you to just be like, oh, I'm okay. I you know, have your store, design your products. You don't need to go and help others. Like, what is it? What is it? Your upbringing? What makes you care about helping others?
I think it's maybe sort of tapping into this whole psychology thing. I've always known for me that, you know, working with Nicki Minaj and Dereon and Rachel Roy, I think those were all just stepping stones for me, but I've always just wanted to give back. I mean, how can I be a child from Africa and then turn my back? You can't do that. It's not right. And it's not what is instilled in us. Even if it's not direct giving back, it's supporting our families. It's, you know, working here, but it's the life of an immigrant, right? So I just couldn't do it. And for me, starting the narrative and working with these brands brings so much joy to me, and it's really passionate. And I love it, and it makes me so happy. Like, I would rather do this than working with one of the biggest brands in the world because I know I'm serving a purpose. And it's not about me anymore. There's no selfishness there. So it's really important for me to always give back and to never turn my back on the people that helped me get here.
Now, as if that's not enough, you have the concept store, you have the narrative. You also recently started another venture called Bloom.
Right.
What is Bloom? Tell us about that.
So Bloom is a women's conversational platform. I started it with some partners that are based in Johannesburg, South Africa. And for us, we wanted to create a platform where women, creative entrepreneurs, and women can come together and just talk about things that are going on in their daily lives, and also talk about, you know, building their own companies. Just because I think sometimes, especially in the time of the age that we're in right now, we all go through the same things, but we don't talk about it. Whether it's men, women, children, we're all sort of living in the same world, but I think sometimes we get caught in our little bubbles. So Bloom serves as that conversational space. It's a safe space, but it's where we can come together and, you know, we actually have an event coming up soon where we're going to be talking about planting seeds and building for the new year. So I think it's important to always sort of going back to being a designer and finding mentors. It's finding community. And that's all across the board with Bloom, the narrative, TNT Concept Store. It's all about creating communities. And that's what I'm passionate about.
Now, you talked about planting seeds for the new year. You recently posted on social media about how you'd achieved all of your goals for this year, that the year hadn't yet ended, but you'd achieved all of your goals. Yeah. What were some of those goals coming into the year, and how have you managed to achieve all of those goals?
So the two major goals is this store, getting this store, and starting the narrative. And the funny thing is, so this store is actually very close to where I live, and I would walk past this store every single day. And for me, it's about the law of attraction and planting seeds. And every day that I would walk by this store, I would say, that's gonna be mine, that's gonna be mine, that's gonna be mine. And I've been saying that for about 3 years. So when 2017 rolled around, I said, this is the year that I'm gonna get that space. And in July, I got the space. So it's writing things down, planting seeds, sowing them, and just telling the universe what you want. So that was a major thing. And then also launching the narrative, I had to travel to South Africa, went there for a month by myself, meeting all of these brands. And it's interesting to tell somebody your dream and your desire and you don't have anything to show for it, anything tangible. But for whatever reason, everybody believed in what we were doing. So that was also another thing. So we launched the narrative in November. So those were the two major things that I wanted to do for myself this year. And then also just like building my team and, just finding wonderful people to work with, which is so important. And I found a great team that works with me. So all those things were things that I wrote about at the beginning of the year, and they came to fruition.
So we're recording this interview at the end of 2017.
Right.
So I'm interested to know, going into 2018, what are your thoughts? What's the dream for 2018?
For 2018, I definitely would like to get more brands on board, because the narrative, we're still building it out, but it's not just focused on Southern Africa, it's global. So we're going to be focusing on brands in Nigeria, focusing on brands in our home, Zimbabwe, focusing on brands from all over, and just continue to build. I want the narrative to be a force. I want us to come in. I want us to partner with like larger brands here and, just see how we can get these brands on a greater platform. So those are the plans for 2018. Just continue to grow, continue to cultivate, and to continue to support artisan brands from Africa.
Now, you've talked a lot, and all of your brands are very much focused on supporting others. Who do you consider to be your support system, and who are some of the women in your life who've inspired you and who support you?
Definitely my mother is number one. She raised us pretty much by herself, me, my brother, my sister, here in the U.S. And she actually she raised us and then went back to school and then got her PhD like in her 40s, like later in life. So she's really someone that I admire, and she pushes me and she supports me, and she's always been there for me. So she's number one. And then of course, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, she's still kicking, but she's always been like the matriarch of the family, and she's really like kept us all together. And then definitely my husband, because he's like who I have here. He's like the only person that I have here in New York. And so he supports my dream. Always, if I need him to carry some bags, he's there to carry them for me. So I would have to say those people in my life are, who I look up to, and they support me.
Going back to the narrative and going back to talking about the brands that you want to bring on, like what's your process for bringing on brands? Like how would someone get to the point where you are signing them up to be part of the narrative?
So for me, part of the journey is finding the brands. You would be surprised, a lot of the brands that, especially the artisans that we work with, I've literally found them on the side of the street, selling their goods. And, they're just trying to make a buck here and there. And for me, it's meeting them and saying, I'm sure to them it sounds crazy because I'm this African girl. I come up to them, I have an American accent. I'm like, oh, hey, I want to take your stuff to America. And they're looking at me like, who is this girl? So yeah, actually, like Rems Lopez, another brand that they do like crocheting with shoes, they were like on the side of the street, just like selling their brands or at like local markets. And for me, it's finding them, and giving them that platform. So that's sort of how we've been working so far. And then we've had some people that contact us, obviously via email. But I think part of the journey is seeking out those brands that are just sort of doing their own thing. And they don't even realize that they're a brand. So a lot of them, I'm asking them, what is your business name? I've never thought of that before. Do you have a business plan? Can you explain to me what a business plan is? But that's the beauty of it. I want to be able to explain to them, what a business plan is. And there's like a particular brand that we started working with, and their work is so amazing that I was actually nervous to bring them into the market because I know a major company is going to knock them off. So even before we officially bring them into the market, I want to make sure I help them in terms of like their business, in terms of getting everything, like authorized, and make sure that nobody can possibly like steal their design. So it's people like that we're seeking out to work with.
And that's a really good point that you bring up, is that it's so easy for smaller brands to have their designs knocked off by other brands. Right. And so how do you help them in terms of preventing that happening?
I mean, it is tough because the laws right now in terms of like art and creativity are really difficult. So a major company can literally buy something from a smaller brand, and I think there's only like 3 points that they have to change, and then it becomes their own. So the laws don't really protect independent small brands, but we do as much as we can to, get them into the legal system, make sure that they're incorporated or LLC'd or whatever. And part of it is making sure that they're secure in their home country, and then also making sure that they're secure here in the U.S. as well. So we do our part as much as we can, and then hopefully we partner with those brands that would potentially want to steal our ideas. So you get to them first, So that's sort of the plan right now.
What are you most excited about in your life right now?
Wow. Personal, business?
All of it.
All of it? Wow, there's a lot.
That's okay. Let's split it up. Let's
Okay.
do business. What are you most excited about with the business?
With the business, I'm excited about growing this. I know this sounds crazy, but it is a law of attraction. I really believe the narrative one day will be one of those names that everybody's going to know, and people are going to be like, okay, we're looking for the next best African brand. Go to the narrative. They will help you. They will help you seek out the best designer. And we're not leaving it to just fashion and art. We want to partner with like hotels. We want to do interior decor. We want to, work with furniture designers. So it really goes beyond what you're seeing now. It's like next level. Maybe even cars. I don't know. We just want to take it to the next level and just be that name where people can know to come to us if they want to partner with a global or an African brand. So I would say that. And then in terms of personal, I'm excited to build a family. It's so important to me. I've always wanted to have like a clan, a tribe of just little mini-me's everywhere. So yeah, that's what me and my husband are talking about, and just building. And I would love to adopt. Like, I just want to have like a huge house and just have it filled with kids. So
when will you have the time?
I don't know, but I just don't want to stress myself out about it. I just want to go for it and just see what happens, and just I'm excited. I kind of want to, how like Oprah, she like doesn't have her own kids, but she like basically adopts. That's what I want to do. I just want to do that. I want to build a school. I want, to have kids running around. I just want to be able to support these young kids. And, like we talked about, it's showing young people that there's people that look like them that have succeeded or have gotten to a certain place. So if I can do it, you can do it too. And that's what it's all about for me.
So let's kind of just unpackage that a little bit more. What's the impact that you want to have on the world, or what's the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Wow. I always talk about that, legacies and things that I want to. I guess for me, it's Farai Simoyi was. Is this like an obituary? The kind of legacy that I want to leave is that I know. I don't know. Is this like an
We're
obituary?
not writing your obituary. Okay,
Right.
we're talking about, like 150 years from now.
Right.
What is it that they will remember about you? What do you want the world to remember about you? What's the difference or the impact that you want to have made in the world?
I think for me is that maybe it's not so much a word, but I just want people to know that, I could always come to, I can come to Farai. Farai was always the one that was supported me, was there for me, and just helped me follow my dreams. That's always been important for me. I think about even just some of the brands that we started working with, and they've emailed me, and they're just like, wow, you made my dreams come true. And I think that's what it is. If I can get a lot of people to say that I've made their dreams come true, I think that's really important to me. So I think just that, you made my dreams come true. That's what I want.
What are your dreams? What dreams do you want to come true?
I feel like I'm living it. I really finally feel like I'm living my dream. Finally. I'm so at peace. This is silly, but I went to the doctor yesterday and they did my blood pressure and they said your blood pressure is amazing. I'm like, oh my God, thank God. I live in New York City. I'm not stressed out, So that was a key indicator. But I'm definitely living my dream. This is something I've always wanted to do. And I've always said, working with Beyonce, working with Nicki Minaj, that was amazing, but that was not my purpose. This is my purpose.
Oh, that's a deep to talk about purpose, right?
Yeah.
And your purpose and living your purpose. Yeah. What is it? What you talk about belief and you talk about manifesting and law of attraction. Like, what are your beliefs around that?
My beliefs are around just like law of attraction and things like that. I think that it has to come from within. Somebody the other day was saying, do you ever doubt yourself? And to be honest with you, I don't doubt myself. Yes, I have fears and concerns and I get nervous about things and anxiety, whatever, anything a normal entrepreneur would get. But doubting yourself, you've already killed your dream before you've even begun. So that's just like one thing that I've never done. And I think that's why people, like we talked about, like, how are you able to do Bloom and narrative and da-da-da-da-da? Because I just believe, And I think there's a way to believe in yourself and not be like, it's not overly confident. It's just saying like, I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. And I know that I am bringing purpose to this, whatever I'm doing. So yeah.
That's something that so many people, myself included, struggle with, is believing in yourself, believing in your ideas. How have you been able to believe, or where did that belief in yourself come from? How was that instilled in you?
I think for me, it's the whole like F it mentality. I'm just like, I have one life to live. Like, honestly, like I could walk outside and get hit by the B-43 bus that's going, towards the other end of Brooklyn. So for me, it's like one life to live. Anything I do, it's just like, F it, I'm just gonna go for it. Like, you can't, there's no time for that, especially with things that are going on in this world. It's just like, you have to go for it. And I always say, if you believe in something, there's somebody else that believes in it too. And there's somebody else that's yearning for whatever you're doing and whatever you're putting out, and you'd be surprised. Even at the launch of the narrative, I was talking to my business manager, and I'm like, I'm so nervous. I don't know if anybody's gonna show up. I mean, and this tiny space was like packed wall to wall, and people were just like, oh my God, I love what you're doing. Like, this is needed. We need to showcase, these artists. So I think it's just like one life to live, F it, go for it. What do you have to lose,
What is your biggest fear?
I do have, it's weird. There's no doubt. I don't have doubt, but sometimes I do have a little bit of a fear of failing, even though I have failed in things before and I have learned from those failures. There's still a little bit of a fear of failing, but then I think once I get to that point, I'm just like, no, okay, I learned this from that. It's these steps that I take in my head. I've learned this, I got this out of it, okay, let's move on. But I mean, nobody wants to fail at something, so I would say that's like a little bit of a fear that I have, but I don't let it consume me to the point that I won't, move forward.
So you talked about having failed and learning from those failures. Like what was, if you want to share, what's been your biggest failure? I don't believe that there's failure. I just think that it's the universe giving you feedback that you're not going in the right direction. Yeah. What's been your biggest quote unquote failure, and what's the biggest lesson you learned from that?
Yeah, so I would say one of my biggest failures, I traveled to South Africa, I think it was end of 2016, and I had the idea, the narrative already. I had it planned out, I had a business plan, and I met with an investor out there that like loved what I was doing, and they were like, all right, we're gonna invest in you, we're gonna put money into your company. And I was elated, like, all right, let's go. I put everything together, put like a whole financial plan, and they were like begging me to send it to them, and I just like went ahead and sent it to them, and then didn't hear anything back for a long time. And then maybe a couple months later, they just sent me an email saying, oh, I'm sorry, we can no longer invest in you. And I'm like, okay. So then for me, I'm like, all right, this is a business lesson. I'll ask them why. Please give me the key points of why you're not able to invest in the narrative, da-da-da. Nothing. Like, no, but it was very strange. Like, nobody from the company wrote back. Like, I don't know anything. I still, to this day, haven't heard from them. So for me, that was tough. That was really tough. And for a moment, I was just like, it makes you question yourself. Then I was like, is it a good idea? I mean, this company, they were so excited. And then once I sent them all the details of the narrative, they just weren't for it anymore. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do it anymore. And then that's when 2017 rolled around. I was like, you know what? They don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And then that's when I was just like, let's start it. And for me, you know, I learned that people are going to say no to you, but it's because they don't believe and they don't understand your vision. So that shouldn't deter you. And then also, I cannot wait to send them an email and say, hey guys, you didn't want to invest, but look at us now. We're doing great. We've got 20 brands underneath us, and we're going to be partnering with this company, that company. So I can't wait till I can send them that email. I'm so excited about it. I'm just not ready to do it yet, but I will be.
2018.
Yeah, 2018, they will be hearing from me. So,
what's been the biggest surprise for you about entrepreneurship?
I think the biggest surprise for me in entrepreneurship is that even though people are afraid to ask for help, they want to be helped. You know, so the second you extend that hand and you're genuine about it, people like are drawn in. So I've been really like surprised as to like how many people have actually been drawn to the narrative that are like, oh my God, I want to be a part of this. How can I be a part of this? So I think that's been the biggest surprise and the best feeling, you know, that people are like, no, I do want to be helped. Like, I am passionate about this. I want people to see what I'm doing. So I think that's been the best.
So you talk about reaching out to people, giving advice, helping them. What's the best advice that you've ever been given?
I think the best advice I've ever been given, and this is just very simple, is just keep going. Keep going, don't stop. I mean, there's gonna be roadblocks, lots and lots and lots and lots of roadblocks. But part of the journey is, you know, jumping over them and then being like, oh, I got through that. Like, all right, let's go. You know, build me a bigger mountain to get through. And it's about enjoying the process. I think for so many of us, we have such short attention spans. We just want, you know, to get from A to Z. But it's like, enjoy B, C, D. Like, enjoy. This is fun. This should be exciting for all of us as we build, you know? So I think that's the best advice. Yeah, taking a step back and being like, all right, I'm at D, point D now. Like, you know, let's see what's going to happen at H, you know, so.
That's really profound what you said about enjoying the process. So what would you say so far with everything that you've achieved you're most proud of?
Wow. Something that I'm most proud of so far? I think, okay, this is a good question. Because I said the legacy that I want to leave is people saying she made me, you know, follow my dreams. I think for me, it's been following my dream has been my proudest moment. You know, so even though I'm helping other people follow their dreams, it's like within that, they don't realize that they're making my dreams come true. So it's like this whole like, it's like this song and dance, like this marriage that we're in, you know? So I would have to say like, sometimes I feel like they're doing more for me than I'm doing for them, you know? So I think I would say that's like my proudest moment.
And what would you say is the emotion that you feel most days?
I cry a lot. I cry almost like 3 times a week. And it's because I'm so happy. Like, and it's so stupid. Like, I was walking in the city the other day and I'm just like walking down the street crying and people are looking at me like, is she okay? I'm like, no, I'm really happy right now. Just like everything is coming together and it's just like tears of joy. I'm just so happy right now. So I would say, yeah, I cry all the time, but it's like good tears.
And what are you most grateful for?
I'm grateful for life and I'm grateful for opportunity. You know, I think a lot of us, we all have the same opportunities. I mean, especially here, you know, we all have the same opportunities, but some people take them and some people don't. So I'm really fortunate enough to have been able to understand what my opportunities are and to be able to grab them and take advantage of those opportunities. Yeah.
That is and what do you love most about yourself?
I think what I love most about myself is that I just like people. I just like to be around people. I like to connect people. Like when I see you, like you're coming here, you're meeting me, and then, you know, you're talking to like other people here. It's like, that brings me joy. Like seeing other people cultivate their relationships from maybe an introduction that I've made. So like, I just love that about myself, that I'm a connector and I like bringing people together.
We're going to switch things up a little bit, and we're going to go with a quick fire round. So I want you to just say the first thing that comes to mind. Don't think about it. Just go. All right. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Fun. Oh my God, this is hard.
Quick.
Okay, fun, exciting, emotional.
When you hear the word successful, who's the first person you think of?
Oprah. Whew. Oprah.
Favorite book?
Oh my God. Oh, what's that one called? Where it is about the law of attraction.
The Alchemist?
Thank you. Yes.
Favorite gift to give?
I like giving like homemade, handmade things, but I know sometimes people are like, really? Like, you made me like a bar of soap, but I like doing stuff like that.
And your favorite gift to receive?
Man, I also like handmade, homemade things. I just like things that are like well thought out.
Okay.
You know?
Favorite thing about the place you live?
I love the people in this neighborhood. They're super cool, chill, hi neighbor kind of thing. Yeah.
Now, as a designer, I'm interested to know what you're going to say for this one. Your favorite item of clothing?
I'm thinking too much. Because that's really hard. How am I supposed to say my favorite item that I own?
Yeah, the first, like if you had to, okay, you're going somewhere, what's the first thing you think, oh, I can wear that?
You know what I will say are Chloe ponchos from the Farai brand. Because literally sometimes like it doesn't matter what's going on in here. You just throw on the poncho, put on some sexy heels, and keep it moving.
Favorite time of day and why?
It's weird. I like the nighttime. I like late, like AM nighttime because like everybody's asleep. It's super quiet and I get a lot of work done.
Name 2 people you'd like to have dinner with and why?
Oprah. I want to have dinner with, I don't know. I'm really obsessed with that lady.
You and me both.
Right? And then I would definitely have to say like Bill Gates. Yeah, because he's like knows business. He's like into technology. Like I want to understand like how do you get to that, like what's going on in your mind? Like how do you get to that level? You know? So it would be like the fun dinner with like Oprah, like Mama Oprah. She can give me like spiritual advice and like all that good stuff. And then I'm gonna meet with Bill Gates and talk about like business.
And what's your favorite meal? Talking about dinner, what's your favorite meal?
I love lasagna. Yes, pasta.
Now that just weird? Made me do a double. Like,
is that
girl
weird?
From Zimbabwe, and you're like, yes. I love lasagna.
I love lasagna. It's so. You know why I think I like it? Because we didn't really grow up with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. We didn't really eat pasta like that in Zim, you know? That's like not a thing. We eat the sadza.
Do you remember having the elbow noodles?
Yes, yes. That's like as far as it went. Yeah. So because our diets are very simple. You know, the sadza, the rice, the muriwo, things like that. So for me, it was like lasagna. Oh my God, all that cheese and meat. So good.
What can't you get through a day without?
I can't. Oh, I know, my phone. I can't. I feel naked without it. But I've been learning that it's like good to like, if you can, like pick a day of just like no technology, no phone. But I definitely cannot get through a day without my phone.
Have you tried it to do
I did it once and it was by accident and I was miserable. Like it was a terrible, terrible day because then you know what it is? You get home and it's just like a stream of just like texts and emails and calls and then it's like overwhelming. But if you have your phone, it's like you can deal with them as they come in, you know? So
I actually was listening to something, I think it might have been a podcast where Ariana Huffington has her company Thrive, where they have, I think it's an app where if you turn it on, it automatically doesn't save the email. So if someone sends you an email, doesn't save it, and it sends them a message and says, this email's not been received, and so if it's important, you need to send it again at a later time when she's available.
Wait, it's through Thrive,
I think
app?
So.
I'm going to have to check that out. That would help so much, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to, what is your favorite app, talking about apps?
I really like Instagram. And you know what? It's more of like also like a business thing. Because sometimes if I'm looking for like inspiration and looking for designers, we find like a lot of brands and designers through the use of Instagram. And they have that little cute little button where you can like create the different albums. So we have like a designer's album, influencer album, like people we want to like meet with. So I have all of my albums in there. So we use it more so for like work and for promoting and advertising and things like that.
So you're on your phone a lot.
Yes.
What is your screensaver on your phone?
Oh God, I don't know.
You never have your phone off long enough?
Yeah, I really don't even know what my screensaver. To be honest, it could be the factory thing. I'm just like, I use it as a tool, you know, and that's what it is. Like, it's not for like fun and games and things like that. It's like business or like emergency. You know what I mean? It's for things like that. So it could literally be the factory screensaver.
Okay, so other than your phone and your wallet, what else do you take with you every day?
I need lotion. In my bag, right? Is that what you're saying? Like in my bag? Especially now that the weather in New York is so cold. It's like you can't, with like our skin, like you can't have dry hands. It's like
Cannot be ashy.
cannot be ashy. It looks crazy. So a little bottle of lotion goes a long way.
And what's your favorite place in the whole world that you've ever been?
Wow. Oh man. That is a tough one. My favorite place? You know what? Maybe I'll say this because I haven't been like on a vacation in a long time. My husband and I went to Dominican Republic for like a proper vacation, like pina coladas on the beach, like chilling, like literally doing nothing. I didn't take out my laptop all week, and that was amazing. And we haven't had like a proper vacation like that in years. So I would say like destinations like that, like are like my favorite place to go. So maybe 2018.
Year of the
Right?
vacation.
Yes, definitely.
If you had to pick a theme song for your life, what would it be?
Okay. I'm gonna pick, what is it, Rocky?
can be.
You know, because it's like so the life of an entrepreneur, right? Like you're running up those stairs, like you get to the top of the stairs, and then you're like, yes, I made it, I did it. So like, if you see me, just like play that song in the back of your head. Yeah, that's.
That's going to be quite every time I see you now. What's your worst habit?
Oh man, I'm like a late night eater. Like I love, like I said, so I like working really late in the night because it's quiet, and then it's like a bag of chips, like some pretzels, some hummus. Like I really like snacking late at night, but it's so bad. Like,
And what's your snack of choice?
I love hummus and like pita chips. They're so good. And then I'm like, no, but it's chickpeas, it's healthy. Like it's not
Not in huge quantities.
I know.
And what do you wish you had more of in your life?
I do wish I had more free time, because right now I am pretty devoted to like a lot of the work that we're doing. So it's like the only day I have off right now is Sundays. Remember we were talking about that? But then it's like, even those Sundays, it's like chores. It's making sure the house is clean, the laundry, you know, the house is like up, you know, kept up and things like that. So maybe if there were 8 days in the week, then I could have like
A day off.
another day, and that would be my day off. So solar moon power, if you want to add an extra day to the week, please let me know. I'll gladly take that.
Yeah, let me know when you figured that one out, because I'd like an extra day off too. And what's a question that you wish people would ask you?
Oh man, a question I wish people would ask me more.
Or that you wish I would have asked you today?
I think questions that we all should ask each other more is, you know, are you happy? You know, because I think happiness is key. I think happiness is vital to like life, you know? And then say I asked you if you're happy and you said no, then let's talk about it. Like, I think that's the whole, my love for psychology is still there. So for me, it would be like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's go grab coffee. You know, so because I want to be in the space of people that are happy. And if they're not, like, let's figure out a way to make it, to get you there. So. Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Oh, wow. You guys can pretty much find me everywhere. So with The Narrative, we're online. You can find us at www.thenarrative.com. And then we're at...
And you need to spell that out for us.
Oh, I know.
It's like
I know.
fancy spelling.
Yes, it's like one R, no E at the end. So it's the, and then NARATIV, thenarrative.com. And then we're at TNT Concept Store, which is located in Bed-Stuy, and it's at 385 Tompkins Avenue. So,
Last question. Okay, so you know that Ndini, you follow Zimbabwean
Yes.
girl, you know Ndini is I am. Right. And I am is one of the most powerful things that you can speak about yourself.
Right.
So what would you say? How would you finish that sentence? I am.
The first thing that came to my mind is I am amazing. You know, I am a creature of God and I was put on this earth for a purpose. So I think it's celebrating amazing, like your own amazingness. And that's how I would put that. Yeah, I am amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, right? Thank you so much for welcoming us into your store and letting us turn it upside down so we could set up all the cameras. And it's been such a joy. And I'm so excited to see where you're going to go with everything that you're working on, the narrative, with this store, with Bloom, with all the other 20 things that you're doing.
Right. No, thank you so much. Like when you reached out to me like the first time, I was like, oh my God, like
she blew me off.
I
just
did.
For the record.
No, and you know
for the record.
Like I think I was like something was going on, but I think honestly, like I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? But timing is everything. It's like when you like emailed me this time, I'm like, we got to do this.
And that's why I kept hounding you.
Yeah,
and
no.
kept stalking you.
This is perfect. And finally, yeah, thank you so much for coming down.
You.
This is so
thank
cool.
You, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Knock off your hat in the process.
Thank you. You're a sweetheart. And I truly have been blessed beyond anything I could have imagined by coming to see you. Thank you.